What's up, y'all? My name's Dumptruck, and I'm here with Rider Justice, and this is another episode of Chasing the Ride. We are live at the Colorado Motorcycle Expo at the Western Stock Exchange Building, and there, is that what it is? Stock show.
There you go.
Cows, not banks. My bad. I hear they're related. I'm here with
They produce a bunch of bullshit.
Look, and we're going to have a lot more of that here in a minute.
Yeah.
I'm joined by Scott O'Sullivan of the O'Sullivan Law Firm and founder of Rider Justice, and my two new best friends, Reed and Ernesto. And the thing I'm most excited about is I don't know a damn thing about either. So this is going to be really interesting and really fun for hopefully all of us, maybe even for you.
That's right.
You want to kick things off?
Yeah, so one of the ways we've been kicking it off is just kind of starting like, when did you first discover riding? And was it through family, on your own, girlfriend, friends, what started it? Ernie, Reed, whoever, take it away.
I'll kick it off.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Awesome. Get it, Ernesto.
Yeah, my parents said no, absolutely not. They threatened to disown me, and I said, promise?
Yeah, like double down.
All right.
Yeah.
I bought a trash basket case, and I hid it from my parents at my buddy's house.
Yeah.
And I was like 19 at the time, and I thought I was going to get it running, because I saw YouTube, and they do it in a day. I thought I was going to get it running, and a year later, I was telling folks, I have a bike. No, I never ridden it. So I got antsy, and I ended up picking up a 97 Sportster 883.
Nice.
Oh, yeah.
And I was down in Florida, and started riding that, and hooked. I loved it.
Nice. How about you, Reed?
Yeah, apologies for the voice.
This is the way I sounded yesterday. You know what helped? Tequila.
You have really good. This is my lawyer for so many reasons. Really good advice.
I didn't grow up with bikes. I grew up in New York City. Couldn't take a motorcycle in the elevator.
Yeah,
I was on bicycles my whole life, tuning up mountain bikes, fixed gears, single speeds, all over New York. It wasn't until later in my 20s I started traveling a lot internationally. And I was kind of relegated to like bus routes. You go to South America and you're effectively taking a bus to kind of the same towns that every other kid with a backpack ends up in.
Yeah, right.
And the only way to get to like the really cool spots, like the off the map amazing spots, was to have a car or a bike.
Yeah.
So I had enough Spanish to just kind of, I think the first bike I ever took out, I think was in Nicaragua. A few months later down in Chile, and now I've done a lot of Europe and Southeast Asia. But I just kind of found it's like the best way to get around and curate your own adventures.
And did you like totally self-taught? You're like, what's this?
I was a valet at the time. Actually in Aspen, Colorado, I was a ski bum, and I parked a lot of cars and a lot of stick shifts so I could drive. I was certainly capable on a bicycle.
You understood what a clutch is? Yeah.
I understood how to step on that clutch. And so I just kind of always figured if you can ride a bicycle, and if you can operate a standard, you can figure it out. And then the only hard part is trying to explain in Spanish, can I borrow this for a couple days?
Right.
Here's my passport, I'll be back.
Yeah. That's awesome.
I could tell you the Spanish word for registration.
Yes.
Don't ask me how I know that. Circulación.
Yeah, nice. So what era was that? Because I was a ski bum too. That's how I came to Colorado before I went to law school. And that's why I never left.
I first came to Colorado in 2008 after undergrad. I was in Aspen 08 to 12, and then I was kind of back home, Brooklyn. Atlanta's where I really started riding in the States. It's actually when I first got my endorsement and kind of went about and bought my first bike. For my 30th birthday, I was in Atlanta riding with a great group there, which kind of inspired me to create something similar here.
Yeah, cool. How about you? You said Florida. Where in Florida?
So Miami, Florida.
Yeah. Nice.
Started riding there, and picking up the clutch, the gas. I didn't drive manual at the time, so I picked up a side, like a sports squad.
Yeah.
Not the big mutter types, but the two-wheel drive ones.
Yeah.
And that's the best way to learn, the mechanics, the shifting points, the tension of the clutch, because you could do it, you could stall it, nothing's falling over. So I got really good at that, and then that's when I knew I wanted to, what we called it back then, we were naive. We were going to build a cafe racer.
Yeah.
Like, I know how to drive. I've never been on two wheels, but I've been on four, and that had the same mechanics. So I took that into a bike. Again, parents were okay with the four-wheeler. They were not okay with two.
Yeah.
So, you skirt
Were
it
you
around.
taking it down to like Homestead,
they need me to
the
explain it to
four-wheeler, and going out into the kind of swamp stuff?
Exactly.
and all that?
I'm surprised that's the only place to ride in
I know
Florida.
Miami and South Florida very well.
Oh,
And,
yeah.
my sister lived there for years. I've been going down to the Florida Keys since I was like 10.
You're right. That's the only way to ride is you have to get out there in the sticks on like power field lands because you can't ride. We don't have tracks. We don't have the resources here.
I got to tell you though, the most insane motorcycle riders ever seen are in Miami, ripping down 90 or up 90. Holy shit at night.
Flip-flops.
I don't think I've ever been passed by somebody at that speed before where it made the whole car shake and it sounded like an explosion. I mean, the guy was going, I don't even know what it was.
Oh yeah.
Sounds like a great bike.
It was whatever it was amazing, but holy cow, it was
The
crazy.
scene there is either that extreme, you're either cruising on a Harley and you're going to Daytona, back Key West, that's a great ride, or you're doing it on wet pavement on I-95, 836, and you're just
Do you know
blowing
my
doors.
favorite biker bar in Florida? Do you,
Deuce?
No. You ever been to Alabama Jack's?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean,
Yes.
it's just right there on the water, dive bar, great fried food, Sundays with the cloggers and the Harleys,
Oh
the
yeah.
whole thing.
That's right on Old Cardtown Road, right?
Exactly.
Right before the toll booth.
Downtown Card Sound. It's like one building. It is. It is just hilarious. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I take that. There's a new highway there that you could skip all of that.
Yeah.
And why? Old Cardtown Road is still there. No one takes it.
Yeah.
That's where you want to ride the bike. It's
That is
what?
exactly right. You don't want to
20
go
more
down
miles?
US 1, that section there. Do Card Sound, cut over. Yeah, that's
I've taken
perfect.
buddies from Denver down there, and they love it.
Yeah, it's a great setup. You go up over that bridge just past, you get a great view. Sorry, we're
How dare
keeping
you?
out,
How dare you tell motorcycle stories during a motorcycle podcast?
Yeah.
Florida's a cool place to ride. That's a wild place. Like, there's a lot of very different versions of Florida within that state.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like Southern Florida is like very Latin, like, and you see it in the architecture. You see it in obviously like the tropical climate that we tend to relate to the area.
There's a language barrier down there.
Food, yeah, there's a language barrier if you're not prepared for it, and it's just. I just went to Key West for my first time 2 weeks ago with Eagle Rider. So I flew down to Miami, grabbed a bike at Eagle Rider. A homie of mine met up, and we split down. And the farther you get down to the Keys, the more you feel like you are not in the United States.
Right, that's right.
And when you get to the end of it, you're going, okay, so who took New Orleans and put it in the Caribbean proper? Because that's what it feels like without the danger.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to look over your shoulder
that's
all
right.
the time.
Yeah.
But it was a really, really cool place to get to experience. And I'm looking forward to going back there.
Yeah.
Like, for sure. Like, it opened up my eyes to a lot different, because most of my Florida riding is all rallies, and that's where I clock in.
Yeah.
So there's not a lot of riding that I got to do, back and forth between New Smyrna and stuff like that. But getting to go all the way down there and seeing like another flavor of Florida.
Yeah.
If you haven't, you should. It's why we're talking about it so much right now.
Yeah.
Totally worth the time.
Yeah.
So you started riding internationally, and how long had you been riding before you came to the U.S. and like really started up in Atlanta?
Like I said, I would just do it on trips where I would travel. I'd go out for 5 weeks and just grab a bike.
Yeah.
Scoot around. Probably like when I was 25, maybe younger, 23. Took till I was 30 before I went into a dealership and bought an adventure bike.
Yeah.
And I was riding a good bit at that point. That was 8. Tough math. About a decade ago, I think I bought my first bike here in the States. And I was in Atlanta at the time.
Now, how does that walk you over to Colorado?
Yeah.
Oh, it rode me over.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, I moved to Colorado kind of by happenstance. I don't remember if you remember there was an eclipse in 2017. It was August down by you, North Carolina, right? So I was in Atlanta. I happened to have been up with the bike in New York, visiting family. The eclipse was about to happen. Telco Plains, which is a fantastic bike community. There's a bike campground there. We always used to. So I met a bunch of friends down in Telco to view the eclipse. And I was running the route from New York to Atlanta, an extension of the Trans-American Trail.
Yeah.
Trans-American, right? So they kind of built extensions so you can proper go coast to coast. So there's actually a segment of that trail that starts outside of New York City, Liberty State Park. So I would run that down. You know, I got kind of sick of doing the Blue Ridge, just being on pavement.
Yeah. Boo-hoo.
And so I rode dirt. I rode the Trans-American kind of extension down to Telco, met a bunch of homies who I rode with in Atlanta, and I ended up meeting a guy from Utah who I'm still very good friends with. You've met him. Just kind of connected. He was on a KTM. I was on a V-Strom adventure. And we just started riding west on the TAT. I was working remotely at the time, so we would every third or fourth day kind of like go find a community center or library and just Wi-Fi, take a few phone calls. I was freelancing, and we were like 2 months in. We were going very slowly on the TAT, and I got offered a job in Denver. I was on like the western portion of the Oklahoma section of that trail. I asked my boss, when do I start? 2 weeks. I was trying to make it to Oregon. I need like 2 months. I gotta get to Oregon. I gotta get back to Atlanta and grab my stuff.
Yeah.
Back. 2 weeks. That's what I got. So we ripped the last 10 days together. Enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I came to Atlanta. I met Ernie.
Yeah.
And people I actually like.
In Atlanta or here?
Two separate
When you
things.
first here? Yeah.
2017, I moved to Denver. Yeah, on a bike. I mean, like sleeping bags, sleeping pads, just my panniers. Everything was in storage in Atlanta.
Yeah.
Came in and started a job. I had showered and shaved, and
Gross.
never really left. I mean,
Yeah.
it makes sense.
Is that the beginnings of your kind of Moto Meetup, and how did that start?
Kinda. Well, I rolled into town. I didn't know anyone. I mean, I'd
Right.
just taken a job. I knew the company I was going to work for. I'd worked with some of these folks earlier in my life in Brooklyn, and but I asked one friend, like one coworker, not in the bike community, but where would I find other riders? Like, just name a business, a bar, or a restaurant. Like, where can I find my community? For a large portion of my life, like I played a lot of rugby, and that's how I met people. I moved to a new town. Just go to the pitch, you find people, you go to the bar. It all happened naturally. And I don't play rugby anymore. I ride bikes. And so that question was hard to get answered.
Yeah.
At the time, I don't know if you remember, Naomi had the Triple Tree Cafe.
Of course.
So I was recommended to go over there. That's when I met Charlie was baristaing and asked a million questions to Charlie, who didn't know me from Adam.
It was a motorcycle themed cafe. I mean,
So I started to put together this puzzle of where to find folks.
Yeah.
Your name came up. This was 7-8 years ago.
Yeah.
But it wasn't as easy as it should have been.
Right.
And that's kind of where the Denver Moto idea came from.
And how does a Miami boy go to the cold? What were you thinking? How
You
did you
know,
end up in
that is
Colorado?
kind of fast
Yeah.
you know, a lot of it was the riding culture down there. So I knew I loved riding. I knew I wanted to do it, and I wasn't anchoring anything in South Florida. And you do the whole Key West thing, you do the Daytona thing, you do the Miami urban stuff, and the people I rode with, the people I would hang out with, after 2, 3, 4 times, I was, all right, well, let's, I'll let you know. Or people go their different ways. It was a mixed can of group. I never anchored. And then I vacationed out here because South Florida, you got the beaches. If you're born and raised there, you're in the Caribbean all the time, every summer.
Yeah.
So versus here, you want to go to the beach, you want to go to the coast. I just want to see mountains. I've never seen snow. I've never seen terrain. I know.
Yeah.
So I Googled some stuff, landed on Denver, came out here in May 2016. The U-Haul was packed in December of 2016.
Yeah.
I rented a place sight unseen.
Yeah.
In a big town, LA, New York, Miami, Houston, you're an hour away from the same city.
Yeah.
You're an hour away from the same city you're in. So I Googled, I don't know, Greeley. And I saw there was about an hour and something away. So I imagine it's like a suburb of Denver. How bad could it be? Called the lady, hey, I'll be there.
It's like dead cows.
How can it be
Exactly.
this cheap?
Exactly. Rolled in, and I'm like, they must be
slaughterhouse.
working on infrastructure. Now, Greeley's a wonderful, wonderful place.
It is.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But I found the same challenge in the riding community. I'm like, yeah, I have a bike. I had an old, 1980s Honda, a 75 two-stroke Yamaha, but that wasn't really where I could click. So I was looking for parts on Craigslist. I am a Craigslist slut.
That's awesome.
Craigslist parts, Craigslist bikes,
yeah.
marketplace, and I see.
I feel like we all probably live there.
Oh,
Right.
totally.
And I see Motorcycle Meetup, Denver, all bikes welcome, and I'm like, oh, okay, cool. And it was like an hour and something, 60 miles, Wednesday, let's go. And that's where I met everybody. I thought this was a big established thing. I get there, everyone's looking at each other because it just happens to be the first one.
Oh my God, yeah, I love that.
Yeah, and look at us today. I mean, there's always a turnout.
So how big of a shit show was the first one?
It wasn't too bad. I mean, 11 people
Where'd
was
you
a
meet?
good.
Where was
turnout.
it? Do you remember?
Yes, it used to be Barrels. It was on Blake and like something. Then it was 14ers.
Got it.
But 5 Points Blake area.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And how has that program grown? Like, what were the numbers of your first meetup, and where are you at now?
Yeah.
I used to just sit at Black Shirt Brewing, great partners of ours, rider owned, fantastic, family owned.
Yeah.
I would sit there and just kind of post on that I would be there on a Wednesday night at 6, and I'll be honest, sometimes it was just me. I happen to live really close, so if it was raining, I'd be there. Whatever, I'd be there.
Right.
I think the first year, 5 or 6 folks, would be a decent Wednesday night.
Yeah.
Our second year, we might see 20 bikes. Felt pretty good about that. I was like, we're really doing it. Now we can ask the bar for some discounts, Like, we're really bringing in volume.
We're becoming a thing.
We got some weight.
I mean, if we put anything out now with a couple hours notice, if we see 100 bikes, I don't know.
Yeah, it's awesome.
75 bikes would be a pretty standard
That's
season
awesome.
night. I don't count people. They don't count. Count bikes.
Bikes and dogs.
Right.
Because we never run out of space for people. We do run out of space for bikes.
Yeah, right.
But I don't know, on a big, like if everything aligns on a good Wednesday night for us, the weather's right, it's not 4th of July week or some other holiday. Yeah, we see over 100 bikes.
Yeah, it's awesome.
We do a couple one-off events.
I know what I love about your group and everybody that gets together, but why don't you tell me what you find special about it? I think what makes it unique. But I'll tell you what my thoughts are, but I want to hear yours first. Yeah.
Sure, for Denver Moto.
Yeah.
I would say, like, we're not really trying hard to be anything. Which I think actually frustrates people a little bit. I get that. We get that feedback a little bit. I don't know. We don't have a theme or identity. Nothing other than motorcycles. We like motorcycles. That's it. There's nothing else to our mission statement or our goals other than, like, leave all the other shit out.
Right.
We're here on bikes.
Yeah.
We're here to encourage other people to be on bikes and talk about bikes. What I love about the group, I mean, for one, I think a lot of bike nights across America tend to be out in suburbs, right?
Yeah.
They tend to be at the same type of restaurant.
Yes.
I won't name any, and they have the same type of bikes, frankly.
Yes.
A lot of times you look outside that Twin Peaks, restaurant, and you see the same bike.
Yeah.
And sometimes the same bike leads to the same rider.
Yes.
I don't know what causes what, but at the end of the day, your food seems homogenous, the venue seems homogenous. Frankly, it's harder to get to. And, when I get in Denver, I was looking around at stoplights and all these riders.
Yeah.
Where are they going to bike nights? Like, no, not everyone's going to Westminster and Longmont for bike nights.
Right.
There has to be something in Denver for folks that live and ride in Denver. We tend to ride maybe slightly different bikes. For one, if you're parking on the street, you're going to be limited in how nice of a bike. So it might be a beat-up bike because it's Denver. Yeah. A lot of these guys and girls park on the street. Yeah. A lot of folks don't have bikes necessarily that can get on I-70 or I-25 and rip 85 miles an hour. They're on something vintage, some carbureted, some small displacement. Yeah. So for me, we had to get a bike. I mean, we're the biggest city in the state, biggest city in the Front Range. Yeah. There's no reason why we should be going up the interstate to go join smaller communities outside. We need a bike night that was accessible by surface streets, in the city of Denver, appealing to a crowd of people that probably can't make it to those other bike nights because their equipment won't allow it. Yep. Or maybe wouldn't feel entirely comfortable because their equipment doesn't look like the same street glide.
You nailed exactly what I love about it is there can be 20 different types of bikes out front, to your point, and 50 different types of people, right? But they're all there enjoying talking about bikes, talking about stuff, talking about life, but mostly bikes. And that's what I love about it. And it's not, homogenous, right? It's not all just the same. And to me, it makes it way more interesting and fun.
Instead of Black Harley.
Right, that's right.
Yeah. I mean, too much of a good thing is still too much.
And the Harleys
or straight Ducatis. I mean, let's say both fields.
Yeah, right.
Everyone is welcome, and that's the only point. I mean, the only thing that would rub us the wrong way is anyone that wasn't fostering an environment that accepted all riders and all bikes.
Agreed.
And we haven't seen a problem, really haven't.
Yeah. Which is awesome.
We're ready. But everyone has been supportive and great. And going back to your question, Scott, I mean, when we started this, it was because when I moved to town, I wanted to find folks to connect with, and I didn't quite know how to do it. It admittedly took me like 6 weeks to kind of connect all the dots of how to make a friend group. Yeah. Trying to make that easier. And so nothing makes me more happy than seeing a new rider come up, saw us on Facebook or Instagram. Yeah. But it has to be an inviting atmosphere for a new rider to be willing to back that bike, especially in
That's the hardest thing to do in front of people.
It's a lot of stress.
It really is. I tell people that if you're going to practice before you start going out and really getting like out on your own in public, get really comfortable with the curb in front of your house.
Right.
Because everybody's watching. You're going to feel like they're judging you, and they're not. They're looking at your motorcycle. But it doesn't feel like that. It's like,
but there are things you can do, I think, to help in that situation without over-exercising any misogyny. But there are just like things you can do to make a bike night more welcoming and greeting, and ways to behave and act that encourage people as they're riding by to pull their bike up, not to speed off because it's intimidating. So we just try and foster that environment.
Yeah, and it's because you guys have set that culture up. And I guess that leads to where you're just talking about with the curb. Like, do you have any suggestions for sort of new riders out there? And as they're dipping their toes in, like, what are your thoughts?
Oh yeah, I got plenty. Not just new riders that haven't ridden in a while too. One of the worst things that I hear is, I got a bike, I did the commitment, I made the plunge. Because let's talk about that. That's a huge jump. You know, you have your car, everything works, but now you're going and you're buying a bike, used, new, whatever. But that's a big plunge. You're buying the gear. The nothing burns me more than someone saying, you know what, it wasn't for me, I gave it a shot. And those are the riders who never found that community. And they did it, they had nowhere to go, they went to that Starbucks, they rode past the bike night that they didn't really vibe with, and they might have judged it. But turns out a year later they sell the bike. And that burns me because we want more bike, we want more cyclists.
I'm laughing because that's what you slide in with a lowball offer to buy the bike. Ernie, for years I've wanted to like give Ernie just a tricycle and like 6 weeks and see if he can turn it into a street glide like CVO. You've seen those shows where you just trade up? He could do it. I mean, he would just circulate.
That's a fun hustle.
But for new riders, I mean, he's kidding about that. But new riders is, don't get over your head. If you're in a community that doesn't pressure you, that doesn't judge you, and that you feel comfortable, and there's nothing we could say to convince you, is you have to experience it. But a new rider who doesn't feel pressured, who feels welcome, they're not going to be pressured, one, to get expensive gear, one, to get a bike they really can't afford.
Or handle.
That's right.
Or handle. Exactly.
Big one, biting off more than you can chew just because you're trying to be one of them.
They jump over the Sportster and they go for the Road King. But take things step by step. Please, progress as nature wants you to progress. Don't jump into it. And community is a big part of that. Being inside the city makes you say, hey, this bike's going to work for me for longer. This TW, this Rebel 250 that I bought because I took the class on. I could keep it longer and learn because the meets aren't in Timbuktu. So it's just take it slow. Stay within your budget and do everything sustainable. If you're going to be sustainable, you can be a rider for a long time. Are you going to have some blunders? Yes, but you're going to learn. But if everyone's inclusive and welcoming, that opens up for you to stick around.
It very much does. And like it's in my experience, it's a newer vibe. Where there's always been places for people. They've not always been easy to find. But now more than ever, I feel like there are more groups that are coming out with open arms to all kinds. Because within the niche of motorcycling, there's a niche of every manufacturer. And then within those manufacturers, you've got niches for different style bikes that they make. And so there's like 500 niches in here. And we all still have one thing in common. We love motorcycles.
That's right.
And whenever you celebrate the soul of it rather than the tangible object in front of you, then you can really build on it and you start to attract people because that energy is attractive. You give a safe place where they don't feel pressured. Pressure's a big thing. People getting stressed out in crowds and all that. And it's not just all new riders. If you're Joe Schmuckatelli coming into a new place and you've been riding for 20 years, it's still a lot sometimes. Backing up your bike and having 40 people stare at you the whole time doing it.
I want to ask
trying
you
to
about
go shake hands and all that kind of stuff.
I want to ask you about the flip side of that card. Progressing, getting something you could afford. What do we say to the guy who says, well, I can't afford a bike right now, so I'm going to get something that runs but shouldn't really be on the road, and this is my first bike, it gets me out there, right? There's whatever gets you out there. But is there a border you should sort of look at, say, hey, maybe that bike shouldn't be your first bike.
They're called
maybe
dirt
you should
bikes.
Wait.
If that's where you are, they're called dirt bikes. Straight up. The best riders that I know, and I know a lot of professional riders, they all start in the dirt, most of them at a really young age. The dirt's a great place to learn how to fall. Because there's two types of bikers out there: the type that have dropped their motorcycles and the type that lie about it. So just own the fact that "oops" is going to be part of your vernacular. It may not be the word you use the most, but it's in there. It's also where you grow. So if you have a lower budget, dirt bikes are a great way to go. I mean, if you're in the Denver area, it takes no time at all to get out of the city, throw that thing out the back of your pickup truck or your El Camino or whatever cool vehicle you have that has a bed that can carry a motorcycle, and just live out there and do that thing. Get your yips out in the dirt. And whenever you do get that budget, get a bike that won't kill you in an environment that's trying to kill you, because the cages don't care.
Yeah, that's right. One of the things to your point, Ernie, and I'm seeing it now in some of the new cases we've gotten, is people who go out, it's a want, and they go out, they get the bike that's maybe not appropriate for them, but then because they maybe can't afford it, they're also then not getting it tagged and titled. And I got two people that are like, they bought their plates off Amazon. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing?
Plates.
And they were so obvious. Like, really? Why don't you just use crayon?
I've never been guilty of anything like that recently.
And then, on my side, the tragedy.
Let's say that again.
Yeah. Strategery.
What's in there?
Yeah, it's like water. And then they also don't get the insurance. Okay. Right? So when it's a want, you also need then to get the right insurance, to at least get a helmet, gloves, and glasses on, and leather, something, the basics, right? Sorry, people will get pissed at me about this, but and that's what concerns me. Yeah. I want them to do it, but maybe wait a minute or do dirt first.
Or just have an understanding that just because this shit is fun does not mean it's a game. Like,
that's a great way to put it.
Real, and respect them. Don't fear them. Fear is not something you want to live with on a motorcycle. Respect, though, that stuff will get you a lot farther down the road.
It's a fine line, but yes, you're right.
It very much is. Yeah, I mean, there's a big difference where you get caught up in the moment and suddenly you're afraid, and you can tell because you're not turning right. You're really going to cause yourself an accident.
That's right.
Just because you're not in the right spot.
Especially if your bike isn't up to scuff, and you're not doing your homework on it. You're worrying about the bike.
Yeah,
the brakes working. Why is it choppy? And you're not worrying about riding.
You're not focused.
No, that's right.
And that's what guys get a bike that the tire's okay, the brakes are okay. Don't skip out on that. Everything else, LEDs, we can toss that up. But if you're worrying about the bike functioning, you're not worrying about learning.
Yeah, it's a great point.
You also got to be riding with the right group, an appropriate group. I remember when I started riding, and I was slower. I still am, but especially in the North Georgia hills, I would try and make up on the straights what I'd lose in the curves because I just wasn't quick enough in the curves.
Yeah.
And it's like everyone's getting ahead of me, and I'm just falling back. It's like, well, let's just gut it through the flats. Then you hit another curve. It's just like
right.
It's a whole roller coaster of cortisol. I guess you put yourself in these stressful moments and they go,
Going back to our Denver Moto bike nights. I look at a large part of our job being there is to connect new folks. We've got the whole gamut of skill sets. I mean, we have folks that go out and do track days, full leather. We've got folks that just want to putt around town and do brunch. We've got folks that want to go rip the canyons. We got folks that want to go take photos in the canyon and Instagram thing. And it's not hard to get those answers when you meet someone for the first time. What are you trying to do? You trying to ride dirt this weekend? And Ernie knows everyone in our group. I mean, it's a large and growing group, but it's very easy to connect you to the folks that are probably most appropriate to be riding with.
Almost like a mentorship program, or at least
almost like speed dating on a Wednesday basis.
It is.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. You know who those different groups are. I mean, the biggest, honestly, comment or critique we get is that we don't do group rides. Frankly, sorry, I don't organize them.
Right. And that's fine. Let them do their split off.
But that's the point. If anyone wants to organize
room for it.
If anyone wants to organize one, let me help you get the word out. We'll make sure bodies are there. So when someone comes to a bike night for the first time and turns out they want to be on single track dirt that weekend, I know what table to walk them up to and say, this is who you got to be talking to.
That's cool.
But it doesn't mean that we're going to be organizing a ride Saturday morning 9 a.m.
Right.
It's just not what we are.
That is a whole other ball of wax. It's spelled like liability.
Well, that is something that people legitimately worry about, and they call me all the time, right? And I think people overthink these things, and I think it's more, hey, you know what? assumption of the risk. You guys go out, ride together. As long as you didn't set up a tiger trap in the ride, you're fine, right? You didn't cause the problems. One of the things that I think you guys put together that I think is kind of special over the years, and it's super fun and super quirky, is the prom. And
that sounds great.
yeah, can you tell more? Tell people about that. And I think it's one of the more fun traditions you guys do.
Yeah.
How did that even start? Where did it start? Yeah.
Good question. The Denver Moto Prom. I think we started in 2019 with a junior prom.
Sounds about right, yeah.
We had to test it.
Yeah, I love it.
I think it was 8 of us.
Yeah.
Dressed to the nines.
Love it.
I don't know. I was looking for an event, kind of a season-ending event.
Yeah.
Prom is not typically in the fall.
Yeah.
Thought about homecoming. I mean, look, there's DGR, Distinguished Gentleman's Ride, out there.
Yep.
They do a great job.
Yep.
People take that
It's
serious.
different.
Yeah.
I've been to a few DGRs. Kind of thought we could do it different, to be honest.
Yeah.
I love the idea of gussing up and getting on a bike
Totally.
and attracting a lot of attention, which is what we do.
Yeah.
I thought we could do it a little bit more tongue-in-cheek. And so there came...
Which you definitely do.
Which we
Which is
do.
awesome.
So there
Yeah.
came Denver Moto Prom, which, I think we just wrapped up our 5th prom.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. That's
You
awesome.
guys have been a big part of it every year, which I appreciate. But yeah, it's a small ride. We've shortened the route every year.
Yeah.
We've learned. I think when we first did it, and again, it was like 15 of us.
Yeah.
We did like 7 bars in 7 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for safety reasons, we
Can
didn't make it to
can
all
we
of
cut
them.
that
Yeah.
out?
Yeah. Right.
I think the next year, we dropped it down. We dropped it
Right,
down.
right.
This year, I think we hit the perfect. I really do. What did we did? We really did 3 locations. So our final stop ended
Yeah.
up rolling into the party.
Right.
And so that's where your team was set up with a photo booth. Thank
Right.
you.
Yes.
That's
Yeah,
where
so fun.
we fed everyone with tacos.
Yeah.
We had a bunch of vendors out.
Yeah.
Everyone's dressed up, but we picked the route, we picked the bars strategically. So it's
Yeah.
a ride down Broadway.
Nice.
We get
Yeah.
a lot of attention.
Yeah.
As you can imagine.
It's awesome.
And it's not like black tie.
No.
Prom is
You guys are hilarious.
No,
I
it's
love the
Corvettes.
photos.
These are
Yeah.
Glitter jackets.
There's a lot of velour. Yeah.
instructions
yeah.
are
Yeah.
wear what you wish you wore to your prom.
Oh, I like that. I like that.
So whatever
Yeah.
that means to you. So
Yeah,
go
yeah,
see
yeah.
folks and
Yeah.
everything and nothing. I mean,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
smile.
Right. Yeah. And to your point, like the difference between like the Distinguished Gentleman's Ride is that it's a gentleman's ride, right? And you guys are making it, more men, women, everybody.
Yeah, it's
and,
more like
I
Animal
wasn't
House.
gonna
super
go there
fun.
with
It sounds like it's more like
Yeah, yeah.
Animal
But it's
House,
literally-
means,
it's-
where it's like the
in the
refuge for all the
name.
misfit
Yes.
toys.
And it's like if you don't look like James Bond on a Triumph, do you belong?
Right, exactly.
and so
That's right. I'm
I
never
just
going to
don't-
grow a beard. I look like I have the
Either.
mange when I try to grow a beard.
How many of us regret our prom? I asked myself maybe, but this is a second chance. Every year you get a second chance to do
Yeah.
prom how you wish you wanted it. I wish I could have rode into prom on a bike.
Oh my God,
that would've been
totally.
rad.
It would have went my way, but now we get to do it every year. And that's what I love about it.
My dad was a Chevy dealer. I took an IROC to the prom.
Yes.
Fuck
T-top?
yeah, baby. Yep, T-top.
Okay.
Yep. It was
Right. I can
hilarious.
picture Bullet Scott right now.
with like the 5, the 5-speed. It was pretty freaking hilarious.
That's pretty rad.
And it was white.
Red seats?
Yep.
Oh man, I was there. Yeah.
Blair and Billy Idol as you exit.
That's
That's
right.
right.
87, baby.
So you guys have built this thing up now. Are you a part of the organization since now? Are you?
Organization.
Yeah.
Wow.
They just
Oh,
blanched at that. They're like,
wow.
ouch.
Cool. Yeah. Sorry, I used a $5 word with all these extra syllables.
Yeah,
and I
that's
freaked
right.
out.
I gotta talk to corporate.
we don't-
So are you a part of the group? Like, so you went the first time, and then you're like, "This is dope. I want to help."
I've been going since 2017, and that was the first one that I knew of. And yeah, I've seen people come and go. I've seen the groups go, just explode
Yeah.
participation.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And that's no accident. Reed does a lot of backstage work to promote it, to talk to
Yeah.
bars, to make sure that we're welcome. I mean, think about it. You have 2 bartenders on a Wednesday night. It's not a weekend. Now you have 100 bikes rolling up, so maybe 120
They got to be
people.
prepared. Yeah.
And they're not prepared. There's no parking.
Yeah.
The kitchen's closed on a Wednesday.
Yeah.
So it doesn't happen by accident. Reed calls them up. They have enough staff. There's
Yeah.
a food truck. There's
Right, right.
we don't just roll up to anywhere. We want to make sure there's food. We want to make sure
Yeah.
there's drinks, maybe NA options for folks as well,
Yeah.
to get them to stay. And I felt like until that happened, we didn't see the huge growth because it was a very close group the first 2-3 years. And then, we were starting to say, hey, we got to make sure we're reaching out. What can we do? Who could be our partners? What bars are going to support us? We have one bar that actually pays the city for additional parking. It's a permit they pay for. We set up the whole front of the street. Because without it, we couldn't patronize them if, we
that's
wanted
right.
to.
Well, I
There's
think
no
of
space.
the construction that's going around the Black Shoe Brewery at this point. I mean, it's insane. You guys have seen it just grow all around it.
It's the mouth of 5 Points.
Yeah.
Watch those buildings go up. Yeah.
I mean, and yet still shoehorn yourselves in there, to your point, and so you still have a great event. Yeah.
Well, they're great partners. And that's what we look for. But
Yeah.
They both ride, Jimmy and Karen.
The organization.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Don't be so afraid of the word organization, guys. It's okay.
So, in your mind, well, sorry.
No, go
ahead. No. What makes a perfect bike night?
Oh, I like that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'll take it, then you tell. First of all, weather.
Yeah.
There's nothing that will keep people down from weather. And, when the weather sucks, and you see people there, you get that good feeling like, hey, there's 10 of us here, but shit, there's 10 of us here.
Right.
Good luck to you home. But anyways, weather's great. A location that's going to let us hang out.
Yeah.
And they're not, we like to be around our bikes. We like to check about, hey, what'd you put on that bike?
Yeah.
That's a new seat. Hey, what did you do to yours? That's a good community as well. We check, we get advice, we check about rides.
Yeah.
So everyone likes to talk and drink around the water and whatever around their bike. And a bar that has that good layout, that has that courtyard that we can park inside.
Which is
that's
nice
a big
at the
one.
back of this place, and
Exactly,
yeah.
If you could set up a tent, if we could have, Vanna's been out there, Triumph dealer's been out there, and they'll bring a demo bike, and that gives you another thing to look to. There might be some merch, and you're like, hey, I just came here for a bike night, and I got some merch out of it.
Yeah,
and then you start thinking, I got to come back. What's going to be next? So whether a good partner, like you said, and a good vibe.
Yeah.
You could go to, there's a bunch of other places out in the outskirts where you walk in, you get the beer, and you're closing out.
Right. What do you think?
Yeah. Outdoor space, right? So patio space. Denver kind of presents a unique set of challenges just through their liquor premises that other jurisdictions don't necessarily have. In an ideal world for me, you've got all the bikes there and you're able to take your beer or soft drink out and walk and look at the bikes.
Yeah, right.
You also got to realize, folks have $800 helmets sitting on the bikes. I leave my key in the bike. You've got a $800 jacket also on your bike.
Right.
So you got a bunch of expensive stuff.
Yeah, you don't want to be too far away from it.
You don't want to be too far away, but also you want to go show off your farkles. You want to So the liquor premises in Denver make it exceptionally challenging versus other places. I've been to cool bike nights where you can walk out in the parking lot with your beverage. So we do the best within the confines of our municipal code, but generally that means a patio where you can at least see the bikes. Maybe that means you have to put your drink on a table and walk over to the bike.
Gotcha.
Come back. It kind of turns me into police state on Wednesday nights where I have to stay.
I've seen you setting up Sentinel in the corner there, the patio.
I get no joy.
That's like the worst job.
It brings me no joy to have someone to put their beer down.
Say no all night long.
It just it's. We don't get in trouble. The venue gets in trouble.
Yeah, and we don't want them to get in trouble. That's right.
I like the venue. The venue likes us. That's why we're here.
Yeah.
Let's put our beer down and walk out. So, but ideally, if you could see it, at least then you're not worried about your helmet walking. So outdoor space is huge. Everyone's dressed for, even if it's a chilly night, you rode there, you're fine. We don't care about the indoor. Honestly, we don't want to impede other patrons. We don't do a buyout, right?
Right.
If there's going to be another section that we just don't want to necessarily be blocking the door so that a family has to come in.
Right. They feel like they're intruding or whatever.
So ideally a side or back patio where we're not just this impeding presence on the front door.
Right.
Food is really important, just honestly from a safety perspective. I think just having a food option. We're not picky. We don't want anything fancy. We don't want white linens. We just, pizza, tacos. Also being able to process quickly. Like a lot of great places reach out to us now because we draw a huge crowd on a weeknight, which is great. And I look at the menu and I'm like, I love a good muddled mojito, but I'm not bringing in 100 riders while you sit there and try and make drinks.
Right.
If you want to talk about a situation where you're making carafes ahead of time, no, we're small batch. I'm like,
Yeah.
All right, we're
Maybe you should be medium batch.
Yeah.
So like,
Dispatch.
honestly, no, and I work with them ahead of time. I mean, and it's sad because some of these are breweries with amazing taps, but sometimes, like with Prom, I say, look, you got to get a can in there, like a canned product in. Like, we're gonna roll up at Prom, we roll up 100-something bikes right at that exact same time.
Right.
You know, you pouring stouts isn't gonna do it.
Yeah, right.
But if you've got, you know, 2 options, all in Tall Boys, $5 a beer, let's go.
Yeah, right. That's right. Yeah.
So is there a place where y'all are wanting to grow what you're doing, or is that like not even on the list of things to think about? Let's just do what we do.
I would like to grow the organization, as you call it.
You're making fun of me now. I guess that means
I
my
would
friend.
like to build out the org chart and take a step back, but I think we could get more folks involved so we're doing it better and that not so much is falling on any one person.
Right.
But I don't think we need to be doing it more nights of the week. Our job and goal is to connect the community to bring more players and organizers into the world. Since we've been here, we've had Revit come to town, Revzilla come to
Yeah,
town.
I mean, it's amazing that whole confluence right there. Oh, yeah.
We've seen the broader community grow tremendously in 6 years that we've been around at Denver Moto. We want that to keep happening. We don't need to be at the front of it. We just need to be that social lubrication that makes it all happen.
Right.
But what I would like to see is, obviously our numbers grow, but I'd like to see more folks get involved and take a role and help with some of the organizing. So that we can help promote other businesses that want to join.
Well, we haven't touched on it all, and you and I spent a weekend when Vana tried to do the Moto Camp thing, but you guys have your own.
What do you mean they tried to do? They did a great job.
They did a great job. I just wish it survived. But you guys have your own, and I don't know if a lot of people know about. Tell Dumptruck.
I know
what
nothing.
we're talking about.
We do a Denver Moto camp out. We've actually been on a 2-year, I hate to say it, hiatus because we lost our spot. It wasn't our fault. We had a fantastic campsite that we.
You're an angel.
Gotta save the beer.
I worked at the Lions Club up in Fraser Valley. They had access to Forest Service land. It was like perfect. It was off the pavement.
Yeah.
You could ride any
That
bike.
does
You didn't have to be on an
sound
adventure bike or dirt bike.
Yeah.
Whatever you're riding, up and over Berthoud Pass, boom.
Nice.
Private
Yeah.
campground, all us.
Oh my God, that's perfect.
Slow races. I mean, you can make noise all night.
There
No
was
one's
it was a destination ride. The road was there. The water was there.
And
Like,
you wake up
all
you're at
the
the base
things.
of Berthoud, so you could just rip the pass.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
fantastic. We need to find another spot. So
Yeah.
He even hired porta potties. We're not animals, okay?
Yeah,
He
yeah,
hired
yeah.
porta potties.
Yeah, that's right.
Josh,
Yeah, that's
Porta
right.
Johns,
'Cause that doesn't happen without
Denver
organization.
Moto would pay to the site, and we kind of encourage folks to bring things to contribute. But we will do it again. Denver Moto Camp Out is always the second weekend in July. We need to find a new spot for it. So.
I don't know how stable the business model is, but it's it's up in Fairplay. It's called the Safari Ranch. Have you ever talked to those guys? We tried to do an event there one time, and they kind of flaked on us. So I'm not saying you should. I don't know, but it's a spot that could be like that. Yeah.
Familiar. Might
Yeah.
be worth reaching out to him.
Yeah. And and I think there's some other kind of spots that are out there. What's the ADV group that's out of Hartselle? They got a big piece of property there that maybe you could partner up with them.
They do some skill courses, right?
Yeah, exactly.
We got friends that work up there as well. We can reach out.
Because that's another area where it's just South Park is just stunning.
Yeah, it is.
And all sorts of great riding all around there.
Maybe Rider Justice wants to team up with us on it. We'll do the legwork.
I'm in.
You'll put down the venue fee.
Sure.
Oh, man. So,
This is recorded, so okay.
Yeah, that's right.
for all intents and purposes, this is now a legal document.
yeah, that's right. But I think that's, I don't know. I think that's another way to enjoy this aspect of Colorado, right? Yeah. That you can't do in a lot of other places.
Everyone dreams of moto camping. When they buy a bike,
that's
the image is sold to them that you're going to be out there with a tent, a duffel, and you're going to somehow pull it off. How you're going to do it, you don't know when you're going to do it, you don't know, but it's going to happen.
You and I are lucky. I mean, I started on an adventure bike. That's what I love about motorcycles is being able to get out there. But not everyone can do that if you're riding a naked bike in the city. But so we support that. Like we have vans pick up. Basically, 2 days before the camp out, you would drop your duffel or whatever you want to bring at either Black Shirt, our partners, or frankly, my house. We have pickup trucks and vans come and take the gear. It's all labeled. It's waiting for you when you get there.
Nice.
So you're riding a naked bike, enjoying your day, up and over Berthoud Pass. You get there, and your shit's right there.
And worst comes to worst, how far are you away from Woodlet, from Winter Park? 5
Right.
minutes.
Yeah, you
So
need
if
something,
you
you
need
can
something,
get it.
if
Yeah.
grilling is not
Make
your
it
thing,
easy.
go into
Like,
town.
the firewood
Yeah.
is there.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
axe is there. Everything is there.
Yeah.
All you got to bring is yourself and enough fuel to get
Yeah,
in and out.
yeah,
That's it.
yeah.
Sounds
That's
like you
easy.
guys are going camping this year.
Yep.
I'm super excited.
You got it all planned out. Maybe we finish up with the lightning round. We'll try to be more serious.
More lightning about it?
More lightning than
So far, our lightning
less,
round has
less
turned
molasses.
into really quick ideas for more long stories.
All right.
Exactly.
It's like molasses lightning, right? So in the lightning round, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the lightning round. We'll see if there's actually lightning involved this time. So what is your favorite road food?
Oh, that's tough, but
Yeah.
I would have to say it has to come out of a gas station, right? And Murphy's does have the best biscuits, bacon biscuits, and they're hot. They're not a roller hot dog. This is higher class. The biscuits wrapped, and you got to wait for the dude to refill it. If you're there for enough time, that biscuit, bacon wrap sandwich, yeah, over any hot dog.
You're giving Reed heartburn over here. What's yours?
Road food. I mean, anything I see on the side of the road, I'm gonna try and. If I
Roadkill?
see someone cooking on the side of the road, I'm stopping. I don't have anything in particular.
My favorite thing is to grab a can of soup or chili, and if you're doing this at a grocery store, then grab a bread bowl. Then whenever you get there, just put that can of whatever, pop the top next to a fire, let it warm up, and just grab a fistful of bread out, dump it in there, and you're like, am I really camping? I really don't know if I am. Because
Nice.
Does
you don't
Panera
need
Bread know you do
utensils.
this?
Huh?
Does Panera Bread know you do this?
Yes,
Okay.
I'm sponsored as of 4 seconds ago. But I mean, like, you don't need any utensils. You literally just like eat it with your hand. It is the best thing, and you will nap so hard. It is the best. It may not be good for your hammock for making you heavier, but I mean, it
Sorry,
is.
does it come out of the can?
Yeah. Once it's hot, you get the bread bowl. You just well, me, I'm such a man. I need to.
Oh,
Eat.
your bread was a koozie for the can.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, right.
Until it cools off. But that's typically what I do. If I can stop at a grocery store on the way in, I'm like, give me this, give me that. Okay, let's go.
Yeah.
There's really no trash. There's one can for recycling and maybe a few other cans for recycling that had beer in them.
Yeah. I think burritos for me.
Burritos are a good one.
Yeah. Just a handheld device, just kind of.
Yeah, just put it in your right saddlebag so the exhaust heats it up nice. So whenever it's time to stop.
These are warm burritos you pick up. You're gonna heat it along the way, or
I think I want it hot right then and there.
okay.
Yeah.
Tailpipe.
Tailpipe.
Yeah.
All right, next one. Let's see, we're gonna go quicker.
Yeah. It's better.
This
Yeah.
is the faster lightning round. It's like time lapse.
Yeah.
So I like this one. We asked it earlier, actually. Sweet pickles or dill?
Jew from New York. It's dill pickles.
Go.
Sweet pickles, but I'm not a pickle guy.
Both of y'all stay away
I'm
from
not a pickle guy.
sweet pickles.
If you talk about a Cuban sandwich, yes, that's our cultural food, and there's
Yeah.
pickles in it. I order mine with no pickles.
I don't know if I can trust you anymore.
You probably shouldn't.
Now I actually appreciate your
Actually, what are your thoughts, Cuban coffee?
Oh, that's the only thing I drink.
Explain to people what that means.
Oh, Cuban
Coffee.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, so meth never took off in South Florida for this reason. So Cuban coffee, you go into a shop and you get an espresso, it's you got lattes, all that. Forget that. What you got to do a dense espresso shot, and you pour it in, and then as that coffee starts to percolate, you put under like a little cup of sugar, maybe 2, 3, 4 teaspoons, no matter.
A whole bag of sugar, just be honest.
Depending on what you think, but you get the little bit of fresh coffee. You pull
Yeah.
that sucker out, you put the other coffee in there.
Yeah.
So you got to caramelize
Yeah.
that sugar. So you're beating it with a spoon.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit of coffee, a lot of sugar, and you're just beating it.
So you get left at gas stations a lot? Because by the end of this story, I've drank 2 cups of coffee and I'm ready to rock.
Well,
and
here's the
roll.
thing: once you
Yeah.
drink it, you're going to catch up.
No, that is exactly right.
The caramelizing the sugar, you add the rest of the coffee. That's what makes it a Cuban coffee. Don't
Yeah.
just give me an espresso.
Yeah.
But once you get that, I've served this coworkers, and the little amounts are like this, like samples at Costco.
Yeah.
And they're thinking I'm not giving them a whole coffee. I'm like, no, drink that. They drink it. They're like, give
Gonna
me,
be doing laps
give me the
around
rest
the
of the
building here
cup.
in
I'm
a
like,
minute.
no, that's enough.
Yeah.
But once you get that going, I mean, you'll catch up to any.
What's in Miami? Sorry, now it got long. We
Yeah,
got molasses.
I'm cutting you
Sorry,
off.
damn it. We'll talk offline.
This has been
There's
an
a famous
amazing
there's a famous
episode.
place in Miami.
This
Sorry.
has been an amazing episode of Chasing the Ride. I'm cutting everyone off. This has been really cool. We now know what we should be eating on the road. If you're in Denver, look up the Denver Moto Meetup. It happens on Wednesday nights. How often? Where could we find you?
About 2 weeks longer than the season on either end.
Is it every Wednesday, and how do we find you?
Every Wednesday, Denver Moto Meetup on Instagram.
Instagram.
That's the way to do it.
Yep.
Awesome. This has been an absolute pleasure. It's been really cool getting to know y'all.
Yeah, thanks.
I like
Chris.
question
Awesome.
marks. Yeah.
Nice, man.
It's been rad.
Nice, man.
All right,
Pleasure.
another
Yeah.
awesome episode
Very
of Chasing
fun.
the Ride with Rider Justice. We'll see you on the next one.